Yesterday, the House Oversight Committee, they launched an investigation into the FBI's failure to report complete, accurate national crime data. Friends, this is a big deal. It comes after the FBI quietly revised its 2023 Crime in the Nation report, in which it reported an estimated 1.7% decrease in violent crime in 2022. Well, the revised report now shows a 4.5% increase. That is a 6.2% change. So what's worse, that they were so far off on the numbers, or that they quietly tried to revise it all? Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Pete Sessions. He serves on that House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, as well as the House Financial Services Committee. He represents the 17th Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Sessions, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Honored it is to be with you. And of course, as you know, Jody, I sit as the chairman of the Government Operations and Federal Workforce, the same thing that a young Jody Heiss performed also in the minority for the Republican Party on that same committee.
That's right, and I'm so glad that you are now taking the helms of that. It's really a very important subcommittee, GovOps, Government Operations, and thank you for joining us, Congressman Sessions. Always great to see you, and I miss you, and I miss all the gang there on Oversight. But for those who may not have been tracking all of this, can you tell us a little bit more about the FBI's annual Crime in the Nation report and what was reported last year versus what we now know to be facts?
Yes, I think I can shed a little bit of light on that. In fact, what happened is that the Department of Justice, in evidently conversation that we are also subpoenaing that information. We're asking for it first, then we'll subpoena it to the Department of Justice about conversations that they had with the FBI and why they made these changes. The changes were not only abrupt, but what they were was a false indication that there was no increase in crime. This deadly crime indicator is always important because it gives us an idea not only about the people who've come to this country that are committing crime, but the types of crime that Congress needs to be aware of and law enforcement. In this case, the justification was that they omitted a number of jurisdictions that normally would report, and they did not include them in the report. So what Jamie Comer, as our chairman, is doing, and we signed on to this, is to gather information about why they did this and under what circumstances. You and I could certainly speculate, Jody, and say, well, we believe this was done for a reason. But we're going to find out that reason and who requested this and why that change happened. It's deceptive, and it is the same sort of facts and factors that we see across the government, where reporting by the government is either skewed or wildly changed as it becomes apparent when someone brings it up. So in this case, I believe we simply received information that it was not correct. They went and changed it internally, and now we're asking questions.
And well, you should. This investigation is 100% justified, and you put it on the table. So let me just kind of fill in the dots if some people are kind of wondering about this. Vice President Harris has been going around touting the 2023 data, and the media has used it to try to dispel concerns that Americans may have about crime. So the recent failures of the FBI to accurately report the crime data looks, at least, to be politically motivated. I mean, that is a legitimate concern, is it not?
Well, in fact, it would be. And the questions that abound from this, questions which are now being asked through official request, is what are the conversations between the Department of Justice and the FBI? What are the all correspondence that is related to this issue we are asking for? Because as we have seen in the past, whether it is about President Biden, whether it was about him when he was vice president, the Department of Justice has chosen to use their powers that they have to block not only questions internally from other enforcement organizations, including, as we remember, the Internal Revenue Service, who asked for the ability to go deeper into the conversation, perhaps to gather metadata to prove whether a person did or did not commit these crimes, and they were blocked by the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice, as we have seen, uses their internal power. We call that an abuse of power. But we, as you know, Jody, as you did, we ask first for those documents and expect them to not only comply, but would expect those to reveal why there was this change and how long it was decided, and whether there was an internal push for them to correct that, or whether our conversation that would happen between the committee and the Department of Justice, they made those changes.
I am so glad, Congressman Pete Sessions, that y'all are pushing forward on this. This is yet just another example of what appears, at least, to be both the media and government colluding together to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people. If I can real quickly shift gears on you, House Republicans now are also raising concerns over the White House's efforts to clean up remarks that President Biden made, in which he referred to Trump supporters as garbage. Can you tell us about that, and what kind of law might have been violated in the president doing that?
You know, I think it's entirely possible that the president could have violated the law. But let me say this, and it became apparent to anyone who saw this. President Trump turned that issue around. He used that. Did. And while it may have been, while they call us garbage, it was just a bunch of trash talk, I think. But in essence, what I think this was a really articulate and thoughtful former president who said, fine, I'll get my dump truck and we will make sure the American people know it was all white. We're clean. We're going to pick up trash. We're going to pick up the trash that this White House and Department of Justice has been throwing down, not just at the president, but the American people. And I think that this will end up being a dump truck that does a clean sweep.
That's funny. Well said. That puts a whole new perspective to the concept of trash talk. I love the way you laid that out there. Congressman Pete Sessions of Texas, always an honor to see you, my friend. Thanks for the great work that you do.
We miss you a lot, and please tell your listeners, stand by, because our Republican Party intends to set new standards, not only for rule of law, but the ability to accurately provide data and information to the American people.
Fantastic. Congressman Sessions, great to see you. Thank you so much. Keep the torch ablaze, my friend.